How's it going, guys and geeks? Welcome to the Geekritique show. My name is Dakota.
And I'm Jen.
And we just watched the first episode of Picard. We've got our teas. We're ready to review it.
Earl Grey. Never fails.
Tea, Earl Grey, hot.
Unfortunately, you're the only one with Earl Grey today. There was only one bag left.
Oh, sorry.
I got some vanilla stuff.
And I got the Star Trek mug, too. You could have at least given yourself that.
We're going to be talking about the first episode of the brand new series by CBS All Access, Star Trek Picard. We've been making our way through the Star Trek catalog. We recently just rewatched the Picard episode Family, which is where he goes back to his hometown and fights with his brother. And
which I loved that episode. It was so good.
And now he's back in Chateau Picard.
I mean, what's not to love with having Picard back?
I don't know.
He's such a great character. What?
I don't think you're supposed to love it. The fact that he's back at Chateau Picard, that's the place that he doesn't want to be.
No, I thought you meant having a show with him is very... Yeah, okay. No, I get it. Because he is different. He's not the same as what we're used to seeing him as. But that makes sense, considering his circumstances. If he was exactly the same... even when he ordered his tea, it was tea Earl Grey decaf. It's what?
Tea Earl Grey decaf.
You're used to him in Starfleet, hot.
Yeah.
Powerful. And here it's decaf. Yeah, all right.
So now Picard is out of Starfleet. How do you feel about the fact and the reason why he has left Starfleet?
I mean, I really didn't like that interview more because it's that woman was awful.
That was a terrible interview.
Yeah, she was just awful.
It's a great way to start the show, though. Because seeing Picard in a tense situation is what you're used to. Mm-hmm. And he's definitely capable of dealing with that situation, especially after all the times, he's facing off against someone in space on the Enterprise. But the interviewee just totally caught him off guard.
Mm-hmm.
We went over the terms 3 times, sir. She assured me she will not inquire about your separation from Starfleet.
She was supposed to stick to the script, and she clearly wanted to ask something very specific. Because she was clearly very racist against the Roms.
Yeah. And I think, too, she couldn't, help but capitalize on that moment. Even though she knew it was going to leave, tension between her and Jean-Luc.
Right.
I don't think she cared about that. She's probably never going to see him again. She just
and that was
really
probably,
wanted,
honestly, the interview of her lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. Basically. She's this is, he's never done an interview before. And everybody wants to interview with him. She's I can't pass this up.
I'm gonna hit him hard, yeah.
Yeah. It's, pretty journalisty. But his response was super passionate, and it showed, some of the qualities that we love about him, his integrity, just as a person, and regardless of what it costs, he'll do what he thinks is right.
It is interesting that he said that Starfleet wasn't what it was.
I'm sorry?
Because it was no longer Starfleet.
Suggesting that for whatever reason, their MO, their modus operandi, or their approach to life in the universe changed, and he decided, that's not what I am, that's not what Starfleet was, and I'm leaving.
It's this isn't what I signed on for, ultimately. Right. I mean, if you start at any job and it's one thing when you start and then the company changes and goes in a totally different direction, it makes sense. But you think of something like Starfleet as beyond just being a business or a company. And that's why this is especially hard, because it was more of a lifestyle.
How comfortable do you feel that Patrick Stewart was in reprising the role of Patrick Stewart, Picard?
I mean, he seemed like he was approaching it very differently. It's almost not the same exact role, you know?
Yeah, you could tell the character's there, but he's experienced much in his lifetime.
Yeah, he seems like he's holding back, which makes sense because that's what Picard's been doing since he's been, back on Earth.
It is hard to see Picard, who is such a, a strong character, being frail, which he is, in this episode he even says,
I haven't been living. I've been waiting to die.
Yeah, or when he was running up the stairs and he was having a hard time. That actually made me really sad.
Yeah, that was tough.
Just seeing him, struggling, and she was like, come on, we have to go. So what do you think of, Data's role in all of this? I think it's not really what we were expecting, right?
No. So Data sacrificed himself for Picard at the end of Nemesis. And now he seems to be a pivotal point in the story for this show. At least he's if he's not necessarily a foreground protagonist, he's a background protagonist, because a lot of the show that we have so far seen set up revolves around Data and, spoilers, his daughter or daughters. I think by the end of the episode we find out there's a twin to this girl named Daj, or I think that's the name, Daj?
Daj.
She somehow lives on through the legacy of Data. We haven't really figured out what's happening with this girl, how she's alive, how Data figured out how to make another positronic brain that works like his does.
It's not that Data made her.
Okay. It's that
scientist dude that the blonde girl worked for at one point made her in Data's image.
It's really hard to piece together because we've only seen it once, and we're not fully in. We are still in the dark as far as the mystery goes, because we're following Picard's journey to figure out the mystery.
Yeah, I think like they were saying like that guy was basically on a mission to try to recreate Data.
But that being said, he was thousands of years off from anything of the sort. Data was one of a kind in that sense. So what does that mean for this girl and her twin? Because Data does call her daughter. Apparently he made that poster or painting, and he called it daughter.
This painting is called Daughter.
Because he always wanted a daughter.
Yeah.
You know,
and he had one briefly.
Very briefly.
Yeah, at one point. Episode. Yeah, that was really sad.
But now we're seeing the legacy of Data live on. I also want to mention a little bit of the legacy of Data being lived on through Picard's dreams, because we saw it twice in this episode, and I kind of hope that's something that just continues, because the fact that Data was it was almost a project of Picard's, like a side project of his time on the Enterprise, is bringing out the humanity in this android. And
it kind of like how you would with his son, like showing him different things that he enjoyed, and like appreciating Data's reaction. I love the scene where like Picard is painting, remember, and he shows Data, and like Data's analyzing the works of everyone else, and then he gets to Picard, and he doesn't say that he doesn't like it, but he doesn't have anything like really positive to say about it, and Picard is so disappointed.
Right, yeah, that is one of the best little interactions with them. Yeah, I really love the fact that they brought Brent Spiner back to play Data. I love that Data is, you know, being used as in his dreams to kind of guide the plot forward. I wonder how far they can take that, though, because I don't want Data to become some prophetic being that's capable of creating android life post-mortem. I don't want him to be like some omniscient being that's not actually a real thing, but that's just part of Picard's subconscious. I don't want him to be some all-powerful being, basically. I just want him to be Data, even if it's just a memory. I don't want him to have some master plan that brought androids into existence. I don't know
where you're getting that from. I don't think that that's what the episode was about. It was somebody else that was trying to emulate Data. I know Data's always had the strong desire to create life on his own. So if Data could actually come back and see that he has a daughter, that would be great. But no, I don't think it was Data's
intention.
No, I think that was that other guy that the blonde lady worked for.
Right, but then the blonde lady was sorry, we're calling her the blonde lady. We don't know her name off the top of our head.
You know, she was in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Well, let us know in the comments down below what her name was, because
the lady,
the blonde lady. She seemed surprised as anything that Data had a daughter. Whether it's a literal daughter or like a legacy daughter or something like that. She seemed extremely surprised by it, but wasn't surprised that there was two of those girls. What did you think of Daj to begin with? Like, we didn't get a lot of information off the bat, and she happened to... It seemed a little Ghost in the Shell to me. I don't know if that is a good analogy, but... You know, she seemed like a cybernetic being who had like superhuman reflexes and was really good at fighting, and just perfectly equipped for that scenario where, you know, just in case she ever gets attacked, she has perfect abilities. What did you think of her?
I mean, I felt bad for her, right? Because you know, you think your life's going one way, and then it doesn't. Right. Things take a drastic turn. I think she's being controlled by somebody, because even that memory with her mom, like, there was clearly some kind of like miscommunication where like the mom knew that she had gone to Picard.
Right.
Even though she hadn't told her mom that, and then her mom lied and was like, of course you did. And then she just kind of forgets. So clearly somebody's kind of... manipulating her, but clearly can't control exactly what she does. So I don't know if maybe Picard, my theory is, Picard has some kind of... If her purpose, or her creator's purpose, is to get more information on data and emulate data, I think Picard probably has something related to data that they need. And that's why she was constantly having these flashbacks that never really happened of Picard. I don't know about her sister, and I don't know if I think that she's really dead or not, just because of the fact that even on the security cameras after that explosion, she was not there.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I don't know. I feel like this whole situation is much more complex than anything. So I know Picard saw her get exploded, but who knows? Maybe she survived that.
She was also melting from whatever Romulan.
Oh, that's true, actually.
Venom.
Yeah, so maybe
it clearly wasn't Romulan venom. I don't think that's a thing, but some sort of chemical weapon that was spewed, maybe by biting a tooth or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know how it works, but she was clearly melting.
Oh, that's true. So maybe she was just dead, actually.
She might be.
She might just be dead.
But it seemed a little convenient. It was a very convenient. They clearly cast this actress for the long haul, and they killed her off immediately, and they were just
but she's got a sister.
But she's got a sister.
I like that, though, because, I don't know, I feel like they were, a lot of the times they play on that dynamic between, brother and sister, kind of with, Laura and Data, and then with Picard and his brother.
Okay.
So it seems kind of, not a theme necessarily, but it's kind of a motif that kind of keeps coming up sporadically, sibling relationships and dynamics. And I feel like Star Trek writes that really well, so I'm excited to see how that's carried out.
Well, at least they did write it well. This is a new team of writers, so and it's clearly not the same format where it's a story in 45 minutes, and I don't like that personally. I much prefer episodic television. Mandalorian told us that you can still do episodic television
and have a plot
and have an overarching plot. Yes. Mm-hmm. Doctor Who sometimes does that really well. This past week, Orphan 55 was the next episode of Doctor Who with Nikola Tesla was really good.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think episodic is a really good idea, and you still can keep up. Maybe it's in this setting, it's not, but because now they're going onto a ship and they've kind of assembled a crew. We've seen them in the preview of the next episode, so. Maybe after this it could be more episodic, or is it definitely not?
It's definitely supposed to be a serialized show, so they're definitely abandoning the original Star Trek format.
I feel.
I mean, they did that for Discovery also. Could work for this, but it's not necessarily the Star Trek that we're used to, especially with Picard at the helm. It does from the trailers going forward. It looks more like a Firefly type TV show. Maybe not as funny or as Western necessarily, but it seems like a gritty, darker show.
Yeah, that's
not
true.
Necessarily on a starship. What do you think about the setting of the story? So it's 2 decades since we've seen Picard.
It was over 2 decades ago now.
10 years ago, he left Starfleet to help a dying civilization of Romulans against everyone's better judgment.
Many felt there were better uses for our resources than aiding the Federation's oldest enemy.
Because the Romulans were the enemy for hundreds of years, maybe about 100 years, I would say. The Romulans are colonized in a repurposed Borg vessel. Are you interested in seeing more of that setting, or does it feel weird to you?
I don't know. I feel like we haven't really gotten a full
explanation.
Yeah, a full glimpse of it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or I think it's too premature to say, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, the only thing that I'd really be going off of is, Picard himself. Because even, we saw Starfleet, the museum, briefly, but we don't really know how actual Starfleet is at this time.
One of the big issues with the production of Discovery was that the production company, CBS, did not have the full rights to use all of Star Trek. And that's why the Klingons looked so different. That's why the storylines were so drastically divergent. But now that CBS and Viacom have rejoined, they can basically use more of the original Star Trek formula, Star Trek look, and they can go back from looking like the new movies. This was filmed and directed and edited all way before that remerger, so it still has that Star Trek 09 with like Chris Pine and Zoe Saldana look.
Yeah.
It's still very polished, super high-tech stuff. And I don't mind necessarily the high-tech stuff because we are actually living in the future of the Star Trek universe, so...
Yeah, so that's okay.
That's fine. But I was pleased to see even just like glimpse of Worf, you know? I want to see more Worf. I feel like he's going to be a surprise character that they bring back.
I would love that.
I just hope they don't mess up his look.
I just hope that he's drinking prune juice.
Yeah, that would be great.
He loves prune juice.
That would be great. What did you think about the writing of the episode? Because sometimes it was written really well. I feel like some of Picard's stuff was written really well. And I think some of these side characters were just awkwardly written.
I've been reading about your work. It's fascinating. I feel like I've got so many questions.
I feel like you're about to ask them.
You're talking about that conversation at the end.
Oh, man.
So that I almost said something while it was going, but I kind of wanted to see where it went. And then the commercial for like the next episode told me that I was kind of right. Okay. It seems like forced intimacy. Whereas if it was supposed to be like a substantial relationship, that would make more sense. But we saw in the little trailer thing that guy is out to harm her. So like literally right from the get-go, he's like saying stuff about like, oh, my brother died and like, you're lucky. So it's like somebody who's kind of like, I don't know, like I know that word is thrown out very loosely nowadays, but like kind of like a sociopath that is really good at creating like a false sense of intimacy right off the bat. So I actually thought that like when you think of it in that lens, it makes a little more sense. Like somebody who within minutes of meeting them tells you a really big thing about them that makes you feel like you know them when you really don't.
But it was still an awkward conversation.
Oh yeah, it was still awkward because I think it was like...
I don't think it was supposed to make you feel uncomfortable though. I think it was supposed to make you feel like...
Oh, I thought it was supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. Because like, literally in the next trailer they say this guy is a threat.
I believe her sister is in serious danger.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's how...
I guess, yeah, it depends. Like, if they weren't trying to make us uncomfortable, then they failed. And if they were, then they did all right.
Okay. Yeah, I guess.
I think, yeah, that's true, though, because if, like, he just seemed kind of crazy. Where I think he's supposed to seem normal, but then he is crazy. But he seemed crazy, like, within an instant of seeing him.
I had a brother.
Where the heck were they standing? It was just like some random like between hallway deck overview sort of thing. It was just a really strange setting that they found themselves in. Obviously they were on a work ship, so I don't know how comfortable the living situations are there. But whatever that last 5 minutes was, I did not like it.
Yeah, literally Dakota was like, what is this? What is this? Why is this happening?
It's just awkward. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'll let that relationship, those characters build over time, see what happens. I want to see more Vulcans, and Romulans are like really tiring for me for whatever reason, because they're just emotional Vulcans. Like if you're gonna do an alien species, go back to just using Vulcans. They're so much cooler. They're like you know, elves in Lord of the Rings, where they're just stoic. One thing I noticed actually, this guy's name was I think he said Narek. Which is very close to Sarek, which is Spock's father. And I think that's just supposed to like make you feel like, oh, it's Star Trek. Oh.
It could be some kind of connection.
It could be. I don't think so. I think they have a lot of Romulans that they have to shoehorn into the show because Romulan exploded, and so they're all hanging out on Earth and around Earth.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess that's fine, but I just miss Star Trek with Vulcans. Is that so? Is
that too much to ask for?
Yeah, we're like midway through season 4 again of The Next Generation, and I think like the entire show there's only like 3 Vulcans that show up.
Like really sporadically.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a few things I really liked. I liked all the connections with Picard. I kind of felt that the painting with Data felt shoehorned into the mix. The fact that it was exactly what this girl looks like, and he drew it like 30 years ago, or painted it 30 years ago.
I actually really liked that.
All right.
I thought it was like an intriguing way to kind of... It almost reminded me of like I don't know, like an adventure story, like an Indiana Jones
but
in a way.
It's intriguing to the sense, to the degree of it being prophetic. And I don't think Data should be a prophetic character.
I don't know where you keep getting that from. Nobody's saying that he's prophetic.
He prophesied his own daughter.
No, I think that they went through his memories and they saw that he made that painting and they thought, oh, if he's going to have a daughter, let's make him look like that painting of his daughter. Like, I don't think he prophesied.
All right. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I give up. You win.
I love Data. I'm going to go now. Now that I've won. I came, I saw, I conquered. That's all I'm here for, really.
Yes. What do you guys think of the first episode of Star Trek Picard? I don't know if we're going to be reviewing every episode because, you know... Life. Definitely by the end of the season, we want to do a review. If there are episodes that we feel like we need to talk about, we'll be back for more. And let us know your thoughts on our review. Like it if you have liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I want to know your thoughts on Picard, guys. And if you want more Star Trek content from us, we did this video where I explain why I have over 500 Star Trek books and haven't read most of them.
Bye.
Bye.